back to the Devil's Den. Chris, how we doing today, brother?
Doing good. How you doing, Spence?
Doing well as well. Hey, United have been doing pretty well lately.
Yeah.
Rude, thank you. What do we have to say to
Thank you for
Rude?
your service. Yeah.
How do you think we've been doing under him?
Been good. It's been the performances have definitely been a huge increase over the past couple of weeks. Rude he only got four matches, I'm pretty sure, but unbeaten. A lot of goals scored, a couple clean sheets as well. So definitely some positives to take from the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I would completely agree. If we had Ten Hag, I don't think we would have seen the same results in a pretty negative way. So I think Rude definitely lifted the mood of the players a little bit. He put Ahmad back in, which was nice to see. Ahmad,
Ahmad's been
he's
cooking.
Ahmad has
He,
been absolutely cooking lately. I
yep.
think he's one player that I remember we spoke about him at one point a while back, and we said that he was one of those players that he has all the potential. He's gifted so much,
Oh
and
yeah.
he just technically, I think I compared him to Bernardo Silva, which I wouldn't say they're exactly like for like, but in terms of the technical dribbling ability, the way they control the match is just if they're at their best, those
hmm
players are players you watch and you're like, oh wow, they're really controlling the midfield, things like that. So having Ahmad there, I think he really brings balance to the team because with Rashford and Garnacho, if they're on the wings, they're more direct, more pacey, more. Well, actually, I don't know if I'd say more pacey, but they just kind of attack, run down your throat of the defense. And with Ahmad, it's more clinical. It's more cut into the defense. He cuts in a lot better than both of them, and he's just way more
hmm
technical. He can keep the ball a lot better. Sometimes I think he's a little bit smarter in the way he does it, and also when he cuts in, oh man, that goal
Yeah, his
against
burst of pace is crazy, and the goal was
oh my
nuts.
gosh, the
For
goal
his
against
size too,
Pauk,
because yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he's a pretty small guy too. I mean, compared to everyone else, and I mean, you've seen him score a couple headers for us. So like he very athletic. He's quick, he's fast, he has a good touch, he's close control. His football IQ is massive as well. So he's a smart technical player. He's definitely one of our best, I'd say.
Not to mention, sometimes I see him, like you were saying, he scores some headers. I see him jump, and this dude, for how
Yeah.
short he
He can
is,
jump.
that man can really get up there. I
Yeah.
remember against Leicester in the last match in the league, I think Onana or someone booted it up the field really far, and it was just him and one defender, and the defender was much taller. And you're like, oh yeah, the defender's easily going to be able to deal with it. The ball bounced, and it was a little awkward, and then Ahmad just jumps up, and he literally won the header, and it was
Yeah.
almost a good counterattack there. But yeah, he's really come onto the scene well. I wonder whether Amorim is going to use him in the width on one of the attacking fullback slash winger positions that he's been using, or whether he might employ him further up the pitch as one of those center attacking midfielder striker combos. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But first, before we get into any more speaking about players and whatever, let's talk about Amorim. So Amorim came in and he's officially the manager now. He's in the building. Chris, day one, you're Ruben Amorim. What is your plan to bring Manchester United back? Let's talk about this season only because we can talk about other seasons in the
Yeah.
future. But this season, if you're Ruben Amorim, what are you doing as soon as you get in the door?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm just really happy that Amram's finally here, and I'm excited to see what he's gonna do with the squad, and hopefully we can kind of salvage some of this season because it hasn't been the greatest. We all know that. But yeah, if I was Amram personally, I'm not a football coach, but there's definitely some steps that I would take to ensure that we do have a successful end to the season and that we can really integrate our squad into his tactics. But I'd say the first thing I do is to really just, assess our team. Look at the players and look how everything's go happening right now. Really assess the pros and cons. I would even break it down by player, make like a player profile and say, how can this player fit into my system? Will this player fit into my system? If he doesn't, then I would talk to the structure around me and say maybe we can let this guy go and have those types of conversations. But I really think it's important to have a full breakdown of our squad and see how they're going to best fit his tactics. Um, and then once you kind of have an understanding of who the players are, how they play, how they're going to work with your system. Next, then you work with your coaching staff to implement these tactics into the squad. So he's bringing in some guys from Sporting as well. So he's has familiar faces around him. So I think just working with the coaching staff to really drill these tactics and teach them because it is a new system. It's confirmed he's going to play a new system of three at the back, which you haven't really seen at United recently. So this is kind of like a reset, a very refresh. It's going to be very different. So we have to really, I would build, from the ground up and teach the fundamentals of the system, how it differs from the way we're currently playing, and then really because a large part of how we're going to play is the football IQ. We have to be smart about it. So you can't just throw this system at us and not tell us why it works and how it works. So I think there's a lot of like lessons, lectures that he has to drill into the squad, and then the next thing I would do is you, as a Man United manager, you have to be ruthless. You can't let players take advantage of you. You can't let the media take advantage of you. So if players if they're not doing what they're told, if they're not working with the team, then you got to call them out for it, and you got to be ruthless as a manager. You got to lay down the law because you're the boss. You're the one in charge. So I think that's important as well because at Man United there's no messing around, and we've we haven't been successful in these past years. So there's no time to mess around. We really have to get to work and get back to winning Premier Leagues and Champions League. So in order to do that, you need to be a ruthless coach with the players and the media. And that also, in terms of the media, I'd say because Man United is there's a lot of clickbait and there's a lot of false stories said, and that's how like the media generates clicks and views and stuff. So if there's an untrue story or something that's crazy, as manager, I would shut that down immediately and say, I'm not messing around as coach here. You're not going to be allowed as the media to make up stories and make up these shit shows. So I think it's really important to tell the truth and be really strict and stern with the media and say you're not allowed to make lies about certain players and stuff going on with the club. Um, and then I don't know. I mean, for the first season, I don't know if there's really much more you can do. There's obviously working with the structure around you, working with the footballing the director and making a transfer plan for the upcoming seasons for the January transfer window for the summer. Like I said earlier, which players you're going to keep, which ones you're going to let go. So having that plan in place, so then when the transfer window in January and the summer opens, you can get to work right away, and you're not kind of scrambling towards the end of the window to get in players. So I think being prepared in that aspect is important too. But yeah, I mean, I spoke a lot about the things I would do, and I think those would hopefully kind of, steady the ship, get the team energized and ready to compete in the second two thirds of the season and end the season on a strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of those things are things that he should be looking to do right as soon as he gets in the door. If you ask me what I think he should be doing this season specifically, yeah, I agree. Coming in, assess the squad, really put a foot down though immediately. You really got to let them know you are the boss. And I think Eric Ten Hag, sometimes he was good at that, and sometimes he was ruthless. And there was moments where we'd say he was, but other times we could kind of tell that he was either favoring certain players just because they have popularity amongst the fans, things like that. I mean, he did brawl against Ronaldo, which is pretty insane, but I kind of like seeing that. I like seeing that a manager says, "Look, if you're not going to be part of the tactics, and you're not going to be part of the squad that I want to employ, then you're simply not going to play." And that's just how it is. So he needs to get that immediately drilled through the players' heads. Another thing I think he should be doing, and it's kind of just a continuation of what Ruud was doing in his interim, really unite and re-energize the locker room because the boys clearly you could tell. I mean, Rashford, a few other players really just moping around the field at certain times, and you can't have that. At Manchester United, we need a team that's united. We need a team that comes together. We need a team that's energized. We need a team that's athletic. But at the same time, another big point that I would say that he should look into, and it's a good thing that he's bringing in his whole backroom staff. He needs to look into the fitness of the players when it comes to making sure that we manage their loads, because if players like Luke Shaw and Mason Mount and even at this point Kobe Mainu and Tyrell Malacia, players that we haven't seen featured a lot this season or some at all. We need them to be part of the squad and assessing what are we doing in training, what are we doing that's maybe pushing them too hard, or maybe we need to play less players in cup matches because Eric Ten Hag, I think one thing that he always did was he valued every single competition, which has its drawbacks and its positives, but at the same time, I think you need to rely on those reserve players or those backups to come in a cup match and be like, all right, well we need to rest some of our starters. We need to rest some of our big players because if they go out in the Carabao Cup, then we're losing them for the Premier League and the Europa League. So we really got to be smarter about that. So that's another thing he has to look into as well. And then I think just developing the players into our system is going to be a tough task, but it's going to be something he has to do. I mean, he's already got Manuel Ugarte, who is from Sporting originally, and he played with him. He's a pretty intense player, so I think he'll fit his system hopefully to a T because, I mean, he played with him before. And you've got tons of players that I think could fit into the system. I mean, we've got three pretty solid center back options, and he wants to play a back three. So I think that would obviously be a good thing. And we could talk about our favorite starting or the starting lineup that we think he'll go with in the future of this podcast. But I think, yeah, just developing the players into that system is going to be pretty important. Obviously, it's going to come on the training ground and making sure the players are unified. And then I think another thing you should look to is the youth, because I think some of the youth players, and I'm not talking about just the youth academy, but some of the younger guys too, like Lenny Yoro coming in. You got Harry Amas. I also think, and I doubt this would happen, but if Cheeto Obi Martin continues scoring goals like he is in the youth system, this man could literally shoot right to the first team this season. And I'm not joking. He's insane. How old is he? 16, I
I think he's
believe.
16.
16 or 17,
It's
something like that.
crazy.
And
It's crazy.
he's scoring so many goals. He's just scoring them for fun in the youth. And so at this point, it seems like he's starting to become one of those players that's kind of just outgrowing, that the U18s or the U23s or wherever I think he's playing the U18s right now. But promoting players like that, I mean, he's had a history of promoting young players at Sporting. A lot of players went from being young players at Sporting to now transferring and moving to big clubs like Mateus Nunez, Nuno Mendes, Gonçalves came from the youth academy. Quenda is actually a player that I think Manchester United should look into this summer. I believe he's 17 years old still, maybe 18, but he's in the starting lineup for Sporting, and this man is just an absolute ball. He plays, I believe, as a left wing back, and maybe right wing back. I might be wrong, but against Manchester City, he was a baller. So yeah, just promoting the youth players at United is going to be another big thing. I mean, we have a history of doing it. Why not continue that history? And then I think this season, realistically, he should. I don't think he's going to have the expectations of top four because how can you really expect how the season's been going? How can you expect him to put us in the top four? Just because, if you really look at the league table, though, it's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, we're only 4 points behind
4 points
Chelsea in
off the
third
top four.
place. And we're only 11 matches into the season. It's still a pretty long season. So, I mean, if he gets
Hmm.
things turned around and he gets things going the way he wants and we get some momentum, top four could happen. I'm not saying it's realistic, but it could actually happen. So, if he could get top four, I think that would be a massive win for Ruben Amorim to go back into the Champions League within the first season. And I think another thing, we're already into the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. I mean, we always play pretty well in the FA Cup as well. So again, just like Eric Ten Hag really kind of survived off that FA Cup win, and the only reason
Hmm.
that he had fans somewhat on his side this summer was because of the FA Cup win. So I think if Amorim comes in and he wins silverware in his first season, that would be a huge accomplishment. And again, what's the harm in going for some big trophies like the Europa League it's there, man. I mean, we didn't start out too well, but we've got our first win and we've got some pretty favorable matchups in the Europa League. We go up against Bodo Glimt. I don't even know how to pronounce some of these names. Victoria Pleasant. I don't even know what some of these names are. Oh, we go up against Rangers though. That'll be a good match. And then FCSB. I don't even know who that is. So they're there are some matches that we could win in that, and I think we could definitely get top 8 in the league. So we wouldn't have to play a playoff match before we get into the knockout stages. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, silverware would be huge. If Ruben Amorim could win silverware right away, I mean, the fans would love him immediately. So I think that's another thing that he should, in my opinion, focus on, trying to get some silverware. And I don't know if he does, like I said earlier, if he looks at the health and injury record and trying to somehow figure out how we can stay healthier, then I think we have the squad where we could be competing for top 6, top 4, and maybe a trophy or two. So I don't know. Maybe I'm pretty optimistic, or maybe I'm shooting for the stars. But hey, if you shoot for the stars and you land in the clouds, like, you know, it can't be so bad. So that's what I think Ruben Amorim should do. I think another thing that we can talk about right now is getting rid of some deadwood, because that's going to be something he's going to have to do in the summer. He's got a big task ahead of him in the summer. We've seen Ten Hag sort of get rid of some of the deadwood a little bit, but he's also created some for us as well, you know, in the form of a certain Brazilian winger that we don't need to talk about. But let's move on, and let's actually look through the squad, and let's decide whether we should keep players or sell them. And Chris, let's start off with you. Let's go Altai, Binder. What are you saying?
I mean, I would say keep. I would say keep for. I like our current uh, choice of keepers. I mean, I'm a big Onana fan, so um, and I like Altai as well. And then Tom Heaton brings that experience. So I mean, I don't really see the need to kind of mix up the goalkeeping department right now. I don't know if you feel the same though, but
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the goalkeepers really haven't done much wrong. I mean, no, he actually hasn't really made many mistakes at all this season.
he's been playing well this season. I think no one has really discussed that really in the news, but he's been putting in like he's been like the silent guardian, I'd say.
Yeah, there's been some matches where he's really just kind of
Yeah.
put the defense on his back with some great saves. So
hmm
I'd agree with you. I don't think there's anything in the goalkeeping department that needs to be changed. Now let's move on to defenders. Victor Lindelof. I think we're gonna have a good debate about this, because
Victor Lindelof.
I think I know where you are on this. But
So
what are your thoughts on
um
Victor?
uh yeah, before we like started recording, I mentioned Lindelof and Amorim actually played together at Benfica. So, I mean, he knows Lindelof, and I've always been a Lindelof fan, even though when he hasn't maybe objectively performed well, he's always had like a soft spot for me. So I would keep him. I think he's a good, squad defender to have. I'm not saying he should be starting every match, but I think he's a solid person to kind of have in your team, and he's got experience. He's played under a bunch of managers, and I I think he's a good player. I don't know if how you'll take
Chris,
that,
you've gone
but I
soft.
like him. I like him. I like Lindelof.
Chris, you have gone soft, Chris. I don't think Victor Lindelof is near up to the standard, even of a squad player, in my opinion. He's regressed massively. In the matches we've seen him this year, he's been the soft spot in the defense that has been targeted every single time. I'm gonna be honest. I like him as a person. He seems like a nice guy. But hey, man, this is a business at the end of the day. You got, like, I'm sorry, bro, but it's not working out. You're getting old. Go play for some, maybe even a Italian side. Probably he seems like the type of player that would go to
Oh, he
Italian side and
can't.
probably do
I don't even
well.
know how old Lindelof is. He can't be that old.
Ship him off to Roma. I'm sure he'd do well under Jose. Oh wait, Jose's not even at Roma anymore. But ship him off to
No,
Roma. He seems like an AS Roma player. For me, Victor Lindelof's got
he's
to go. I'm
30.
sorry.
That's
Yeah, he's got
for
it. 30.
a
He's got to
defender.
go.
It's not that old.
He's got to go. I'm sorry. Because
I don't know.
here's what's gonna happen. Emery
Over
in the
okay,
summer.
look at our other center back choices.
I'm taking Maguire over Lindelof.
No
Maguire's
way. No
Maguire is a
way.
presence. Maguire is a presence in there. And bro, Maguire
You're
has not put a
bugging.
foot wrong
You're
in a
bugging.
while. When's the last since like the
Bro,
Sevilla
Maguire
match?
makes one like terrible mistake every single match. When was the
That
last
is
time he
that is a lie. That is not
No,
true.
no.
He's
You're
been
bugging.
solid. Wait, didn't he score like a really late goal against some team
He did.
to
He scored late
which
against in the Europa League. I think it
yeah.
was.
Oh,
Not
Porto. He was in
Fenerbahce. It
Porto.
was
He's
Porto.
against
Yeah,
Porto.
yeah.
Dude,
Scored a
a big
header
match
against
away at
Porto.
Porto. You think Lindelof is doing that? No shot. Lindelof sucks. I'm sorry. He's got to go. All right, Lindelof. For me, he's out. I guess Chris wants to keep him, but for me,
I'll
he's
keep
out. All
him.
right.
You want him to go.
All right. Let's.
All
This
right.
one should be. This one should be an
This up.
easy
Oh
one.
yeah, this is easy.
Mazarawi.
Mazraoui, I mean, keep. Obviously, he's been probably one of the players of the season. To be fair, he's probably been top two or top three. I think he's in that top three of player of the season so far. So I mean, coming right from Bayern, literally has not put a foot wrong all season. And with Shaw and Malacia still out, he's um him and Delo have been great on the in the fullback position. So I think he's been an excellent signing. And like I said, he hasn't put a single foot wrong this season.
Yeah, I mean, completely agree. I mean, what a signing Mazarawi has
What
been
a
for only
signing!
it's less than 20
Seven,
million
17
euros.
million, I think.
Yeah, what a signing Mazraoui has been. I mean, sheesh. Like, I did not expect him to play at the level he's been playing at. And the thing I love about him the most is he doesn't have a single bit of, oh, I'm this huge crazy guy. I've got a crazy ego. Like, I'm the best. He's just put his head down, grind, get the job done. No fussing about. I think he's exactly the type of player that we need to Manchester United. And when you look back at Sir Alex Ferguson's time, a lot of times he said I need a player who's got some. I think he even said in an interview. I asked them what their grandparents did, and if their grandparents were working blue
Hmm.
collar type workers, then that would be a big bonus because he knows that they've got that hardworking mentality, that
Yeah,
hardworking gene in them. And that Mazarawi, I don't know his family's background, but seems like he's got like a coal mining grandpa or something because this man is an absolute stud and he doesn't complain ever. He's not a diva.
he's
He
a
doesn't cause any
workhorse.
problems. You're never gonna see a news report that's like Mazarawi like talks out against manager because he thinks he doesn't blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like you're never gonna see that from Mazarawi. So
Yeah,
I think he's perfect at the club.
it's been
He
great.
might
It's
not
been
be
excellent.
he might not be the best fullback on the planet, but he gets the job done and he works really hard and he'll do anything the manager asks him. So I think he's gonna fit in well with Amorim wherever he employs him, wherever he plays him. So easy keep. And
Yeah,
then another easy one for us, in my opinion, Mateus Delict.
agree. Yeah,
Keep.
I think that's pretty fair. Keep. Yeah,
Okay,
easily
fair
for
enough.
sure.
You,
For
you think
sure.
he'll slot in well with Amorim?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know we're gonna discuss our preferred starting 11 in a bit, but I mean, I think for me he does kind of fit into that starting 11 pretty easily, pretty comfortably. With who, I mean, we'll discuss, but I mean, again, him and Mazraoui came both came from Bayern for fairly cheap, so two great signings I'd say this season who have um started the season well, and I'm happy to see Delit because he's been rumored to come after when he moved to where was it? PSG or when he was at Ajax and then he was linked to us heavily and then he left. Um,
Yeah, he went to Juventus.
Juventus, right, right. So we've been chasing this guy for a while and he clearly has talent. So I think, yeah, I would obviously keep him under Armour.
I also think a lot of people don't speak enough about his ball playing ability because obviously it's not his biggest attribute, but that's just in my opinion he's so good on in so many different levels. But he came from the Ajax academy, and
Hmm.
he typically picks out a pretty good pass. I remember I think he played the pass to Bruno, where Bruno did like a crazy back heel through ball. And if it were Hojlund on it, he probably would have scored. But of course, it was
Yeah.
Xerxes in there.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
Xerxes had to pull the ball when he didn't score. But Matthias de Ligt, I think he's a great player. He can develop a lot under
hmm,
Amorim. And yeah, I mean, there's enough said.
yeah,
This one is going to be a bit of a debate for us because, we foreshadowed it a
yeah.
little bit when we were talking about
Uh-huh.
Lindelof. Harry Maguire, what are you saying, Chris?
No, McGuire out.
Sell?
McGuire out.
You're
It's
crazy, bro.
time. We should have sold him when we had the chance. His value is just steadily declining now. Um, Listen, I mean, I don't hate McGuire, but I don't think he's up to the standards of United. I know that's what you said about
And you think
Lindelof, but
Lindelof is?
but okay, look at our current selection of center backs. McGuire and De Ligt, in my opinion, have a pretty similar profile, and I think um, we don't really need both of those types of profiles in, especially when De Ligt is obviously going to be getting the playing time. Maguire, he does want to. I think he is a quality center back. He could be, starting and playing full 90s for another club. I don't think he wants to be a squad player. Um, still got some gas in the tank, so he's not going to call it quits at United and sit on the bench. So I think it'd be best for all parties if he he left now and got time at another club.
Chris, you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. Harry Maguire, A, he has aura. B,
Oh, he
he's an
doesn't.
he's an absolute presence. C, if you think about it, he's like probably 5 inches, no, 6 inches taller than Lindelof. So like, boom, on corner kicks, who's scoring more headers? Maguire. Who's on our side?
He
Who's
rarely
defending
scores
better?
headers for us.
Maguire. How many times have you been like, oh yeah, Lindelof had a standout performance? Maguire has had standout performances lately. When he's played
No,
this
he
season, he's
hasn't.
been good.
Where,
He has
where,
been good.
where does this like switch up on Maguire come from? I swear you were like the biggest Maguire hater,
No,
and now
no, I
all of a
love
sudden
Maguire.
like Maguire is like amazing. This is
Maguire's got aura, bro. Have you seen all those videos? It's like
he does
the meme
not
videos.
have aura.
Maguire has
You're
aura.
bugging.
Maguire has. I don't know what you're talking about.
All
All
right.
right, but
So I would
for
keep
me, it's
Lindelof and sell Maguire, and you would sell Lindelof and keep Maguire.
on a serious note with Maguire. The reason why I actually would keep him, and I'm genuinely serious, is because him and De Ligt, like you said, have similar profiles, and they can play that center back, like the middle center back of a three defenders, whatever. I think
Hmm.
if you look at the market today, how are you going to replace that? Because there's not as many center backs you'd say that can play in that position compared to how many center backs can play in the left center back or right center back position. I think there's more of those available to go for than there are of the center back position. So if De Ligt gets injured, you don't want to you don't want to have to go, oh yeah, Lenny Euro, young dude, let's just throw you into the, because I think the center back position is going to have to be the physical presence, the big dominant guy. Whereas the left center back and right center back position are going to be the guys who are a little bit more quicker, the guys who progress the ball a little bit better, like your Lissandro Martinez. Your Lenny Euro is really quick. I think he'll be good to cover as a right center back. So I don't know if playing him at center back would actually make sense because he doesn't seem as strong as Maguire or De Ligt. And Maguire is really strong. Also, there's so many times he has so many more iconic moments than Lindelof. You never look at Lindelof and go, "Oh yeah, remember the time?" When have
Lindelof
you
is a
ever,
sleeper.
Chris? Can you
He's
all right? Name me like a remember the time Lindelof did this? Exactly. You can't. You can't do it. You can't do it. 5 seconds later, we
no,
still have no answer.
he's like he's kind of like behind the scenes. He's always there.
No,
Not very flashy, but he's like
but
silently putting in that good shift.
no, I disagree. But because even Mazarawi, who is like that silent guy, even in this
No,
Chelsea match,
he's flashy. He's a flashy guy.
yeah. Well, I'm talking like as personality wise, but like on the pitch, Mazarawi still brings something where you're like, wow, that Chelsea match, I remember Mazarawi's performance. You're never like, oh yeah, like remember Victor Lindelof on this day, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like Maguire, remember Maguire's debut performance? Crazy. Remember his header against Chelsea where he went crazy in the corner? Crazy. Remember when he cleated Batshuayi in the nuts? Why am I'm saying all
Yeah,
Chelsea
but
matches?
you're
But
forgetting all the terrible mistakes and performances Maguire has had for us.
he brings us a lot
He
of ups and
for
downs. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing he has iconic moments, but like he has just as iconically good moments he has just as many iconically terrible moments as well.
fair enough.
You can't say that's not true.
Okay, okay. That's fair. But okay, I have a better question then. In terms of Harry Maguire, Chris, do you think Harry Maguire, if he, let's say, he stays, right? And then, oh, we have a good season, we get back top four or whatever, and the next season, oh, we push for the title, we don't win it, but then the season after that, we push for the title and we win the title. Oh my gosh. And Maguire's still in the team. He's not a starter, but he'll come in for the cup matches and he'll come in if a player is injured or he'll come in substitute, whatever. Do you think after that, Harry Maguire would be looked at as a club legend?
If he wins the helps us win the Premier League, sure. I'll say he's a club legend.
Okay, if he leaves this next summer, would you say Harry Maguire is a club legend?
No, God, no. Not a
Why
chance.
not? He was
Not
a
a
captain.
chance.
He was a
Not a
captain.
chance. He was a
So many
shitty
iconic
captain.
moments.
He was a shitty captain.
He was not a bad captain. You know how much he's
He's a
done for
bad captain.
England? You know how much he's done for England? He's
Okay,
been.
England Maguire is completely different than Manchester United Maguire. They're completely different players.
I don't know, man. He's put some pretty good performance in for us. All right, let's move on though, because we could talk about Maguire all day.
We could talk about that all night.
All right,
Okay,
Lissandro Martinez.
keep,
Thoughts on him? Keep.
keep. I mean, I think it's the same with uh with the lid. I mean, those two have been our starting like center back partnership, and um Martinez is a beast. As sometimes he can be pretty reckless and stuff, but that's just how he plays. He has that fight and that anger in him, and that's what makes so many fans love him. Um, he's great on the ball for a small size. He's got that physical presence in him too. He's always willing to put in that tackle. So I think he's going to be a key part for Amorim's team going forward for sure.
Okay, fair, fair. I would say okay. I would also agree with you on keep, but at the same time, I think sometimes we're actually not as harsh as we should be on him because he has had, you know, oh, like he's such a beast, he's the butcher, whatever. But like, bro, he's been involved in a lot of the massacring that we've gone through. If you think about it, like the Liverpool 7-0 match, the Liverpool 3-0 match, the Tottenham 3-0 match, other games like that, like where he's just been like an absolute no-show. And then at the same time, too, what are your thoughts on him as a left back? Because I can see him playing as a left center back, but when I've seen Ten Hag and I
I
think
don't really see him
even
as a left back.
even Ruud put him as a left back at certain points, I don't think he's one of those center backs that can actually play left back personally. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think he definitely can play in the back three and in the back four as well, but not as a left back. I agree with you.
Okay, yeah, I'm hoping that when Amorim comes in, he simplifies his game again because he used to play
Yeah.
pretty simple, but I feel like lately, maybe it's just because this season's been pretty poor, the whole team.
hmm
I feel like he's trying to overcomplicate his game a little bit, and some of the passes he's just been trying to find like crazy passes when they're just not there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with him. But I do think it's a keep, and we'll see what happens with Amorim if he actually likes him or not. Moving on, player that we haven't seen play in like gosh knows I don't even remember how
Oh
long.
God. Jeez.
The last time I remember him playing was against Man City when we won 2-1 with that Rashford brace. But Tyrell Malacia. Do you even know what he brings to the
Yikes.
table at this point? Like, what does he even bring to the table?
I don't know. I mean,
I forgot how he
we
plays.
have good performing fullbacks now. I mean, he did come in as a squad player. Like he wasn't ever really going to start over Shaw, in my opinion. But it's tough to even assess his like future here because he hasn't played in like a year and a half. He didn't play a single match in the entirety of last season. He's still out now. I think he's in training now, but I feel like he's always been in training for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. Um, I can't even make an honest assessment because I haven't seen him play. I haven't seen him play in so long. So although I mean the only thing you can go back is to when he was playing, which was like 20 months ago probably, and I think he was all right. I mean, in the short time he played for us, he wasn't like he was a quality squad signing to have to come in. I think he linked up with Rashford pretty well. So I think it'd be harsh to let him go maybe unless I mean you have to see how Amorim's going to view him. He's going to view him as a wing back. He's going to view him as a left playing in that the left side of on that 3-4-3. So if he thinks he can play there, then maybe we'll keep him and see how it goes. If not, then maybe it'd be best for him to leave in the summer.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really hard to assess anything about him because, again, like you said, we haven't seen him play in a year and a half or so, or however long it's been. But I do remember, I did feel like I typically, whenever I did see him play, he was always he was always pretty solid, and he always had like like a not man of the match performance, but like a he was probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10 most of the time that he did play, but he didn't play that often anyways. So I don't know. It will be interesting because he is a pretty athletic guy. We don't know whether the injury really impacted his
Yeah,
athleticism that much or not. And we still don't even fully know exactly what the injury was. Do you
no idea.
know?
I've no,
Yeah.
like
What
they
injury
just
really
didn't
puts you
say
out for that
anything.
long? Yeah, because that
Yeah,
is
And like,
insane.
do you think, let me ask you this, do you think since he's been out for so long, you think that's going to affect his fitness going forward? I mean, is because like you said, I think he's probably been in training for a while now. So his recovery time has been like just as long as him being sidelined for. So is that going to, make him more vulnerable to future injuries? So is that something that we should take into consideration as well? Because if he's going to be getting injured more and more often after this, if it makes him more vulnerable, then what's the point of keeping him if he's just going to be sitting on the sidelines and in the trainer's room? So I think that's
Yeah, I
another
mean,
thing you have to consider.
I hear you. I hear you. And I also think we're already historically not, especially in the last 10 or so years, not good at making profit on players. And I think he's probably going to be another one of those cases where
Hmm.
he's probably just going to end up leaving at some point, maybe even the summer, and
Yeah,
going to a really small club or just a smaller club, and then eventually maybe making a name for himself. Maybe like an, I'm not going to say Angel Gomez
he
because
could stay in the
Angel,
Premier League. I
you
think.
think? Well, it really
Wait,
depends on
how
the
old is
athletic.
he?
Like it depends on the athleticism and the injury and a lot of those things. So he's not that old. I want to say he's like 25 or something.
He's 25.
Yeah, so he's
Just turned
really not that
25.
old. I mean, yeah, he probably still has a decent future somewhere. Not anywhere crazy, but we'll see what happens with him.
He's got to
I
get
I
playing.
like him.
That's I like him
I
too.
yeah, I like him as a guy, and I mean, I think I'm pretty sure he was not a bad figure in
Hmm.
the dressing room. So there's nothing wrong there.
Yeah.
It really just depends because we haven't been able to see him play in so long, and we don't know what he looks like and back
Yeah.
on the pitch and things like that. So I think it really all just depends on that. So it's hard to say keep or sell. So we'll see what happens. It's probably going to end up being a sell, but who knows? We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Lenny Euro. Again, another guy that hard to
Yeah.
tell, but
Hasn't
what do you
even
think?
featured for us. He played like twice in preseason and got injured. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be a keep. We invested a lot of money into this kid from Lille. So we're gonna keep him. He's gonna come back, and then um, Amorim will assess him and see if he wants him playing in his team. I'm sure he will. He's a young, talented center back. So I think I think he'll definitely get some playing time under us.
Yeah, completely agreed. Not to mention, I think he actually is a good fit for the system
Oh,
because, like I was saying
totally.
earlier, yeah, he's pretty
Yeah.
athletic. He can track back pretty quickly. I mean, he can cover a lot of space. So I think he will be good as a right center back or left center back.
Hmm.
Probably right because he's right footed.
Yeah. Right center
So
back.
I think yeah, he'll be. I think he'll slot in pretty well on the right side. So I'd say keep. I mean, you wouldn't say sell. It'd be pretty stupid to sell,
No.
especially after we just got him.
Yeah.
Moving on, this one, I don't know. The fan base might be slightly divided because I've seen some people that don't like this guy, but
Hmm.
I personally like him. Diogo Dalot.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I agree with you. I would keep him. I think he's been like the standout player from, although we had a pretty bad season last season, standout player from last season. Um, Even now, I think he's like, I saw some stat. He's played like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like something around the ballpark, like 65 out of the last 70 matches or something like that. He's started in it. So like he's been like such an integral part of our team. And I think he's a very versatile player. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Amorim will use him. Um, Also Portuguese, so I don't know if that has any like sway on him, but I don't see him really in the back three. Obviously, I see him probably on the right side of the 3-4-3, like as that right wing back. But I think he is very talented in playing out wide and then also being able to cut in. He's played that inverted fullback role very well for us, and he's able to kind of slot into that midfield and play around with the midfield. So I think, yeah, he's a very versatile player and one that has been consistently performing well for us over the last couple seasons. From when originally I didn't really like him too much when he first signed, because he's been here 5 or 6 years, 5 or 6 seasons now. Um, and then there was a
Jose brought him
time
in.
when we loaned him to AC Milan. I think when he came back from that loan is when he started to like up his performance, and then he kind of won his role back under Ten Hag, and then he's now become a very important part of our squad. So I would definitely keep him if I was Amarim.
Yeah, big reason I would keep him too is because he really hasn't had any health problems, and us saying
Yeah.
that now. watch him get some health problems
Knock on
soon.
wood.
But
Knock on wood.
exactly. But I mean, he has been one of the most consistent players health wise. He's really
Uh-huh.
I can't remember how many games he's started in the last few seasons, but he's really been there, and that is important because
Yeah.
especially with the injury unluckiness that we've had, a player like that just being able to consistently be there. And I downplay it like, oh, he's just there healthy, and that's the reason why he's good. He is playing well too. I mean, he's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
consistent. I mean, he provides a lot. He sometimes people like to nitpick at his small little mistakes, and sometimes he'll keep a guy onside. Like I think in the Leicester match, he kept Ndidi
Mm-hmm.
onside for this one opportunity, and all
Mm-hmm.
these fans were like, "Oh, look at him!" Blah, blah, blah. But like, all right, like players make mistakes. No one's perfect, but at the same time, yeah, like you were saying, he's really consistent. One of the guys that's been. Did he win Player of the Season last year, or who was that? Was that Bruno who won it?
Maybe. And it could have been Delo.
It
Could
might
have
have been
been.
Delo, but yeah, he's just been so
Yeah.
consistent. I think it'd be stupid to let him go,
Yeah.
and
Totally.
why not? I mean, he's Portuguese too, so maybe that'll be a good connection with Amorim.
Yeah.
Moving on, this guy also has not played pretty
All
much at all.
right.
Has he played this season? I don't think he has. Luke Shaw,
No. Actually, I
he
don't even
hasn't
know.
played this season.
Maybe in
No, he definitely
preseason?
hasn't.
I don't know.
Even then, I don't think he played. No, he got re-injured in the
Luke
Euros,
Shaw. Oh yeah. Luke Shaw.
which is so stupid. Why did we let him go to the Euros?
We should
Why
not
did we
have.
do that? He should not have. No, yeah, that was so stupid. But he did play really well when he played.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on him? It
I
is a tough. It's a
as
tough
much as
question.
I've loved Luke Shaw when he's been here, I think like it's finally time. We've gotten to the point where he has not consistently been fit for more than a handful of matches at a time. And that cannot be the standard of a starting Man United fullback or our starter. So I think it's time for him to go. I think he's been here a while. He's gone through a lot. And he just hasn't been able to stay consistently fit. And for as good as a player he is, it doesn't matter if you're not playing. It doesn't matter if you're sitting on the sideline, sitting in the training room. So he can be the best fullback in the world, which I don't think he is, but he can for you can be as good as you want, but it doesn't matter if you're not consistently fit and you're not playing. And it's been so frustrating because I love him. I always wanted to come back into the team. I want to be playing. And then when I hear reports that or when he plays a game and gets literally injured the game after and he's out for another 4 to 6 weeks, seeing that headline the next day, it's like, come on, man. You've got like it's not even his fault. Like it's just like his body is not, I don't know, strong enough to withhold these injuries or there's something wrong with our fitness system. Who knows? But I think enough is enough and we're paying him a lot of money. He's been here for long enough. So I think it's finally time. Although I don't know when his contract ends, so maybe the club is just gonna think, let's just let his contract run out. I don't know who's gonna buy him right now with this injury record, but it's insane to be injured this much. And for such a quality player, it's frustrating because you do want to see him playing and you do want to see him in the squad and and being successful on the pitch. But when you're not playing for this amount of time, it's too frustrating, and then enough is enough. So I would sell Luke Shaw.
Well, that's a big call right there.
Yep.
Wow. Well, he does have a 4-year contract from last year, so he's here till
Yikes.
2027. So yeah, that's he's under contract till
Yeah.
2027. How old is he now? Luke Shaw, he's got to be like 29. Yeah, he's 29.
29.
Okay, yeah, he's 29. So he's
Yeah.
still not crazy old. I don't know. It,
His
it
injury
is.
record is gonna get worse with age too. Like,
It could. Yeah. I mean, I think another thing we have to look at too is the position he'd be played in, which would probably be left wing back. That is going to be a very demanding position
yeah.
because the sporting left wing and right wing backs. I don't even know if they actually really use winger because I know
Hmm.
Quenda, the guy I was talking about earlier, who
Yeah.
plays right wing back. He's more of a winger than he is a fullback. So I think wingers might play there. Mazarawi might play there. Delo might play. We'll see. But with Luke Shaw, that's the only place I could see him play. Apart from maybe
Hmm.
left center, he might be a good
He
left
could
center
play left
back.
center back. Not like
Yeah,
always, but he can slot in there when needed for sure.
And to me personally, if you're gonna say, Chris, sell Luke Shaw, if he's a center back option, I'm taking him every day of the week over Lindelof. So I know I shouldn't be bringing this back up
Completely
again, but
different, completely
no,
different
because they can
positions.
both play center back. They can both play left and right center back. You're
Luke
telling me
Shaw
you
can't
would
play
take
right center back.
okay, yeah, but all right, let's say it's between Lindelof and Luke Shaw for the backup left center back position. Who are you taking?
Okay, well, Luke Shaw because
Oh, thank
he's
goodness.
aligned to that. Like he played that for England. He's accustomed to that left back role, and
So that's why I
he
would
has
I
been
would
it.
pick I would say keep honestly
But it doesn't
because
matter if Luke Shaw's not playing because he's injured all the time.
he'll okay he'll get healthy again. Don't worry.
Well, he
Wallahi, he'll
will. He's
get
just gonna
healthy.
get injured the following game.
Nah, Chris, Wallahi, he'll get healthy. Don't worry. He's
I
under
mean, I
contract
hope
till
I'm hoping so. I don't wish
2027.
him injury, but he doesn't have the track record to back it up.
I mean, you're not wrong, but if all
I
right,
don't trust him
okay,
anymore.
I know I don't like living in the if buts and ands world, but I'll throw a big if in there. If he can be healthy, and if Amorim's new team, his new backroom staff can fix the injury problem we've been having, the crisis,
Uh-huh.
effectively, then I think you keep a player like Luke
Oh,
Shaw because
100%. No,
yeah,
100%. The only issue is injury. Like literally the only thing is the injuries and his fitness. If that
yeah,
wasn't an issue at all, then yeah, by all means, he'd be starting every match for us. So it's just frustrating that it's the injuries that's holding him back and not the performances. So
okay. So we're on
it's
the
a
same
tough
page
one.
about him. Let's
Yeah.
move on to a guy who's been at Manchester United. Well, he's been in recently at Manchester United,
Yeah.
but he was at Manchester United a long, long time ago. And honestly, he puts shifts in. He puts some
Yeah.
serious shifts in. Johnny Evans, what are we saying?
I think wait, is are we saying like keep him like or keep the player for this season or like is this like the long-term vision of Amorim or
Well, they're
because
obviously
there's
staying for
different
this
ways
season. Okay,
like do you mean
let's
like at
say,
the end of 2025 season, May 2020
yeah,
or June 2025 keep or sell? Like is that like
yeah, yeah,
what we're
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think we I think with the injuries he's stayed, pretty fit. I think he is a solid kind of backup option because he's pretty old and he's not gonna kind of reignite his career at some place. So I think he is no he's on like in the back end of his career right now. And if he can just like hang out and be a squad center back and come in for maybe a couple cup games or three cup games and because like you said, he's puts in shifts. Like he when called upon, he does well. So I think having that security and having that experienced old center back is something that every squad should have. And Johnny Evans is going to be that man for us. And by all means, I would keep him.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, realistically, yeah, he has put in some great shifts. Johnny Evans, in my opinion, is a perfect case study of regardless of whether your legs are still there or not, the IQ that this man has is just different level because if he doesn't have the IQ, he's not making the plays he's
Yeah,
making. Because I mean, clearly he's 36 years old. Like he's
36.
not getting any
Yeah,
younger.
no,
But he every time he comes in, like you were saying, he does put a good shift in.
yeah,
He has put really good shifts in. So I think he would be a good backup option. The only thing though is that we signed him a 1 year deal. We gave him another 1 year deal this past summer. So he's only on a 1 year deal. So his contract will
oh,
run out this summer.
so it's
So
out. So
realistically,
it's a matter of whether we extend it or not
yeah,
again.
whether we give him a new contract or not, which realistically I don't see us doing that because I mean he's probably gonna Emirates probably gonna look to the future and say,
Yeah,
would I rather have Johnny Evans or Harry Maguire? And it's pretty obvious choice there.
Johnny
But
Evans.
Harry Maguire, you're crazy. I don't know. For me, like I think realistically, yeah, it's probably not going to happen. He's probably either going to retire or just go to some smaller club. Maybe go to the MLS. Who knows? But I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, he could like he's put in shifts to the point where I could see him going to a lower table Premier League side, and maybe even starting. But maybe that's a crazy thing to say. But yeah, I think he's probably gonna get sold. But we would both probably want him to be kept because he's been a good servant to the
Yeah,
club and he's put shifts in. Moving on,
yeah,
Harry Amos. He's a youngster. We haven't really been able to see him play yet, but I've
yeah.
seen him, in
This is a
preseason. We've
tough
seen
one.
some of his. young, his academy day
Mhm.
highlights, whatever.
Yeah.
But what do you think? You
I
think
mean,
he'll?
I
I
mean,
think the better.
personally, I haven't really seen much of him, but I mean, he's a youngster. I love promoting the youth and giving the academy players a chance. So I think it'd be very dumb to sell him in the summer without giving him a proper chance to show what he's worth at United.
A lot of people see him as Luke Shaw's successor, and I can also see him as Luke Shaw's successor because
Yeah.
some of the highlights I've seen of him, obviously it's hard to just say he's going to do that same thing he's been doing in the youth academy and the first team, but I do think he is a pretty promising prospect. So I personally would think he could work well in the system as a left wing back because he
Hmm.
does seem to be the type of player that is energetic. That is, I don't know his injury record. Hopefully, it's better than Shaw's. But yeah, if he can be promoted eventually, maybe this season, next season by Amorim, that would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, not too much to talk about with him because he's a young guy. Moving on to the midfielders, this is an interesting one. Mason Mount. Do you think we'll keep him
Ooh,
this summer?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough because he's also kind of been plagued by the injuries, but I think he's when he has played, he hasn't really shown that spark that we thought we were getting when we signed him. He's not the player at all. He used to be at Chelsea. I don't know what's really happened to him. So, um, and we gave him the 7 jersey. That's another, you know, like crazy decision. But I don't know. I don't think he's shown enough why he deserves to stay at United when he's been healthy. Um, but I mean, hopefully he can, stay fit for as much as he can the rest of the season and give us a reason to show us why he'd want to stay. But if he does more of the same, then I wouldn't be upset if we let him go this summer because he hasn't really shown enough to deserve and earn his spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. I think I'd like to see more of him as well. But
Yeah,
again, if I keep having to say that, I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see more of him.
exactly.
It's This is a second season with us, so if that continues by the end of the if we're still talking at the end of the season, oh, I'd like to see more of him because we still haven't seen much of him. It's probably a problem
Two
with
full
his injuries.
seasons. Yeah,
Yeah, and the weirdest thing though is that at Chelsea he barely ever missed a match,
yeah,
like ever, and then he comes to United and the first thing, season-ending injuries. He must have had like two big injuries last season, and then already
hmm,
this season he's been out for a while. So, yeah, I'd like to think personally that it was the last regime. Maybe something they were doing with the
yeah,
training, something in the water. One of the chefs was poisoning them or something. I don't even know, but something was wrong. And it clearly wasn't just, oh, Ten Hag was getting unlucky. I think something was wrong with the man management. So we'll see what happens with the new regime.
yeah,
But with Mason Mount, I mean, I think both of us would like to see him, thrive and become the old Mason Mount or even reach higher heights than he did at Chelsea. But realistically, I don't know if we do see that. So it
hmm,
probably, for me, yeah, would also be a sell. But
yeah,
that's a pretty big if though. So we'll see about that. This one is actually, I think between you and I, we both like this guy, but
yeah.
in the fan base,
I
some
think
people don't
that's
like him.
that's
Some people
crazy.
scapegoat him, which is absolutely
That's
insane.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah, some people
But
even call him like Weasel and stuff, which is nuts. But Bruno Fernandez, I mean, this shouldn't be too much
Bruno
talking.
it should not even be a conversation.
Yeah,
I don't
easy
think like
keep,
we shouldn't even discuss we shouldn't even discuss this one.
easy keep.
It's
Yeah, I
Bruno.
mean,
It's Bruno.
Bruno Fernandez, since he's come to Manchester United, has been the best player without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
He's been one of the
Imagine
best
these
players in
last
Europe.
5 years without Bruno. Imagine where
Oh
we'd
my
be right now.
goodness.
We'd be in League Two.
Yeah, absolutely
It's
absurd. I mean, I saw some stat. The Leicester match, the league match, was his 250th appearance for
yeah.
Manchester United, which is pretty insane. And I think it said he had something like 156 goal
Yeah.
contributions in those 250 matches, which is pretty insane output for a midfielder.
Yeah.
Even Kevin De Bruyne in his first 250 matches only had 130. So,
Yeah.
if you can reach stats like that, and you know,
He's the
he's also not been injured, so
mhm.
easy
I
key
think
for me.
it's like the seventh fastest United player to reach 100 Premier League goal involvements. I think that
Wow,
was the stat or 150 or I think it may have been 100. He's right up there with Ronaldo. A
pretty
hundred
insane.
the yeah. seventh quickest United player to reach that milestone. So,
Wow, pretty nuts.
I
Shout out
mean,
to you, Bruno.
United legend already, in my opinion. I don't know
I don't
about
know if
you.
I'd. That's a tough question, honestly.
You would make Maguire a legend and not Bruno, bruh. Come on, be real now.
Maguire's my captain. All right. Anyways, Christian Eriksen. Moving on to Christian Eriksen. That's a
Ericsson,
tough question because Eriksen's had some decent form this season. Honestly,
yeah,
he was a
no, he
he was a
has,
player that I thought Eriksen would leave this summer, but
yeah,
he's had some good performances. I mean, my thing with Eriksen though, and you might agree with this, you might not. When him and Casemiro are in the midfield, I get so worried just because they
yeah,
are very sharp mentally, and I do think that they are both. They've proven that they've been world class at certain points in their careers, and they've both been kind of rejuvenated this season. But again, they're still pretty old, and they kind of don't have the legs to do what Amorim wants them to do. So with me, I'm gonna say no for Eriksen. I'm gonna say sell, just because I don't think he has the legs. Although I do think he's got the mind still going, and he is a valuable player. I'd still just say no because I don't think he has the legs that Amorim's gonna require of a squad
yeah.
player. So I'm gonna say sell. What are you saying, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, we signed him on a free, and he we know he's not going to be starting every game. He's not going to be into that starting 11. But I think having that strong football IQ is extremely important to have in a squad because it kind of resonates with the other players on like how to play, and he can like mentor these younger midfielders coming in because he's an extremely talented footballer, and we've seen it over his long career. So I think having him in like the back of the squad as someone who can come in um for cup games and some of the lesser games, and that's where he gets his game time. But I think just having him in the squad and having his being able to like share his IQ with everyone and be that face in training as well, I think can be important. And I think there's other players who we would prioritize leaving and replacing than Ericsson. If we do, then fine, but I don't think he should be like high up on that list of who to um get rid of first. I think he would be like,
Fair enough.
near the bottom of the list, but I think it's like fine either way, in my opinion. I wouldn't be too upset if it happened either way. But
One thing I will say is that his contract does run out this summer.
that's
So
another point you have to consider then
yeah, it'll be
if
tough
it's
to
worth
yeah.
if it's worth extending it. But
I think he's gonna be sold. But moving on,
yeah,
another older
con-
player,
yeah,
but again, another player who's kind of a I mean, I don't know if I'd say he's a United legend yet, but he was definitely a legend of the game. Casemiro.
yeah.
Keep?
It's tough because if you asked me this question at the end of last season, I would be the first one to say yes, he's lost it. His legs are gone. He's been awful this season, but I mean, this season you've seen him, come back and start to, put in better shifts and perform more, like more maturely in the midfield. I mean, beside that awful Liverpool 3-0 game when he got, hooked at halftime, that was horrible. But I think for to win, five Champions Leagues, to be like the star of that really successful Madrid team in the 2010s, like to have that stature and that experience in the squad, like I just said with Ericsson, is extremely important. And I know we're paying him like a shit ton of money. Like we are probably overpaying him by a lot, and that's probably the reason that he still like wants to stay here. But um, I don't know. I think it's another tough one. I don't know if I would see him starting under Amram because he does want more energy and legs in the midfield, but he does have that IQ that not a lot of players have. Um, and I think that's another extremely important, almost as just as important as your physical ability and your how much you can run and everything. So it's definitely difficult to say. Right now, I would say keep because we don't really have too many profiles like him in the midfield. If we were planning on, replacing him with someone, then maybe I'd be okay with that. But I think for now, he's not really putting a foot wrong, and he is that kind of senior figure that can kind of give us that experience we need in the team.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'd also tend to agree with you because I think since that Liverpool match where he did get subbed off at halftime, that was kind of a rude awakening for him. See what
Yeah.
I did there? That was kind of an
Rude.
awakening for him where he had to realize, hey, look, like I'm getting to the end of my
Hmm.
career. I gotta really like buckle in and
Step it up.
step it up. And he has stepped it up entirely. I mean, he's been running the midfield for us lately. He's been kind of back to his old self. Kind of the first season
Hmm.
we had him. Remember the first
He was
season
a
we had him?
beast that season.
Yeah, everyone
He's a
was just like,
monster.
"Oh, Casemiro is still that guy." And then last season it
Yeah.
kind of started to fade away, and people were like, "Oh no, like what's he's
Yeah.
really losing it." But this season, yeah, he's kind of been rejuvenated. I don't know if, like you said, I don't know if he could really play the role that Amorim wants him to play as a midfielder. We'll have to see. So, kind of because of that, I'm gonna have to say sell just because I want him to stay personally, but I think it will be a sell because yeah, I don't think he fits into the system, but we'll see what happens. I mean, he's a good squad player. Also, I mean,
Hmm.
he has I think he has a lot of leadership qualities, so he
Yeah.
seems like he's a good player within the squad to unite the squad and things like that. So
Hmm.
I think you and I can both agree that it would be
Yeah.
keep, but realistically, he'll probably be sold because he won't fit into the system. But we'll see what happens. Next up, I mean, we don't really have to discuss this one because we kind of know the answer
Yeah.
to this, especially
Yeah.
with the new manager coming in.
Hmm.
Manuel Ugarte, we just signed him. He also
Yeah.
played under Amorim at Sporting, so pretty easy keep. We don't really
Easy.
have to
Easy.
discuss too
Easy
much of
keep.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
fits the profile well. Moving on, Kobe Minu, another
Another
pretty easy one.
easy keep.
I mean, you'd have to be
I
pretty
think.
stupid to say sell about Kobe Minu.
Yeah. I think he's
Like,
gonna fit slot right into Amorim's team as well. So
could you think of like a genuine single reason as to why you would sell Kobe Minu? The only reason I could possibly think of is if we were in some precarious financial situation and we needed to make
we needed some
a
cash.
huge profit for,
Well,
because I
thankfully
mean
we're not in that
he's
position.
yeah. As far as we're concerned, we're not in that position.
Yeah.
We're not. We probably won't be in that position, but especially with the new management, I think they're pretty smart about all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, Kobe Minu, easy keep, probably the easiest one on the
Yep.
list. In my opinion,
Yep.
I love him. I think he's going to be a great player. He's going to be a
Definitely.
legend
If there was
for
one
sure,
player to keep from the squad, it would be Kobe Minu.
for sure.
If
All
I can
right,
only pick one to be him.
moving on to forwards. This is an interesting one. I personally think there's going to be a lot of debate within a lot of these guys. Let's start off with Rasmus Hojlund. Came in not last. Yeah, wait. Last year was his first season. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
last year was first season. Rasmus Hojlund. What are your thoughts?
I would say keep. I think, I think he's struggled a bit this season to kind of, get going and find the back of the net. I don't think he has a couple goals, but he hasn't really hit his stride really where we thought he would be. But he definitely he has that fight and that eagerness to play. And I think Amram can kind of use him effectively as one of his strikers and get him, scoring goals because he is a talented player. He is young. He does link up well with our other attackers. So there's some things I think he needs to work on like personally, like his like his touch, like his making his runs and stuff. But I mean, aside from that, I think he does fit well into the team, and I think that Amram will want to definitely use him. I think definitely from our current striker options, he's our best striker. So unless we have plans to bring in another striker, possibly from Sporting, not sure, but um, I'm saying keep.
All right, fair enough. I completely agree with you. I think of the strikers that we have and of the attackers we have, he fits the profile best of an Amorim
Hmm.
striker. And personally, I think if he stays fit and if he works hard, we could see his goal contributions drastically increase, like
Yeah,
drastically, because you look at Sporting right now, they've got a certain Swedish striker by the name of Gyökeres, and I mean, shoot, that man has been scoring goals galore. He's got like 20 something goals in like
yeah,
16 games in all
crazy.
competitions, which is insane. Not to mention, I think they haven't lost a single game. They haven't even drawn a single game in the league. They're like
11 and
11
0.
victories. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they have some crazy amount of goals, like 30, 38 or something, and
Hmm.
only 3 goals against. But yeah, he's their striker. Gyökeres is a big part of that. And I think that when you compare Gyökeres to the rest of our attack, Hoyland is probably the most similar attribute wise to him. So
Yeah.
if is going to want to score some goals this season, he's probably going to look to, Hojlund, and
Hmm.
he's going to say, "Hey, man, we need some goals." And you see what I've been doing at Sporting with this striker,
Yeah.
so we'll see what
Exactly.
happens, because I think the system will be more suited towards giving service to him and trying to find him on some of those through balls. Because if you watch that Manchester City versus Sporting game, which pretty
Hmm.
much all Manchester United fans were watching,
Yeah.
you could see that he was making a lot of those runs into the in between the two center backs, and then even I think Quenda found him on the goal that he scored, on one of the goals that he scored.
Yeah.
And there was, I forgot how early on it was, but pretty early in the match, I forgot who played the ball, but someone played a really nice through ball to him, and again he was 1-on-1 with the keeper, and those two big chances, and he scored two pens. I mean, this guy is just playing out of his mind. So we'll see if Hojlund can also be deployed in that sort of way.
Hmm.
Hopefully he can be, because I think that would be really smart. So
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty easy keep for Hojlund. He's still very young. He's 22 years old, 21 years
Hmm.
old. So very young guy. Still has a lot of room for development. And yeah, I think he could work in Amorim's system. So we'll see what happens with him, but I'd say keep pretty easy. This one's going to be a controversial one, though. Marcus Rashford. Because I know the fan base is pretty
Yeah.
divided on him, especially if you look at some of the
Very
fans
divisive.
on
Very divisive
some of the
player.
social media accounts. Yeah, he is, because, when he first came in, Starboy, he's ours, Mank born and
Hmm.
bred, all these big things, which a lot of them are true. And I really like him personally. I think you and I both want him to succeed. I mean, we don't want any Man United player not to succeed, obviously. But with him, I've always wanted him to be,
The
the
man, like
poster.
the
Yeah,
best one. Yeah.
yeah. When people think of Manchester United, I want them to think of Marcus Rashford right
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? But in the last this season, he's been a little bit better than last season, but still the goals aren't there.
Hmm.
From 2 seasons ago, I mean, he was one of the best strikers
Yeah.
in the entire soccer world. So if he could get back to that form under Amorim, that would be great.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I don't know. You think he will be able to with Amorim?
I think he will because the thing with Rashford, I think we've seen is a lot of it kind of relies on his confidence and how he's like feeling towards the game at that moment. And if he's like, not fully confident, he's not feeling himself, then he's not going to be putting in a good shift. But it's when he's like fully energetic, he's got the support of the fans, he's got the support of the players around him. That's when he plays his strongest, and that's what we saw the 2 seasons ago when he hit 30 for the season. So I think he 100% can get to that. He has that quality in him. Um, I think it's just about mentally getting him strong. And I think hopefully the new manager that can give him that boost he needs to kind of show that um, he can be that poster boy still because he's not this young kid anymore. He's like a seasoned Premier League player. Um, been playing in this league for many years now. So he's thing is he still has a lot to prove because he hasn't been that poster uh star boy figure that we've all like imagined him as a youngster, yeah, but he hasn't like kind of grown into that like Mbappe role almost worldwide. So hopefully under Amarim he can really get going and show that I can still be this person for these fans and not get inside his head because that's when he starts to kind of fault and hinder when he kind of overthinks things and he just has to be simple and play his game and show his strengths and then he is one of the best wingers in the league when he is like fully into it. So yeah, I mean I think keeping him is a no brainer as well.
Yeah, my only thing is, and a lot of this is going to be unknowns for the fans, but what's going on behind the scenes is going to be interesting to see, especially with the new
Hmm.
manager. Because with Ten Hag, some fans theorize that Ten Hag was kind of catering to Marcus Rashford, and he became a favorite of Ten Hag's pretty quickly. Which, I mean, ideally, like the manager just likes all the players, but he happened to play him even when he was not playing well and things like that, and he wasn't disciplining him, I guess, when he would do things like going to the club when he shouldn't have been, things like that, which I find kind of silly. But
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of it's just gonna be behind the scenes whether he meshes well with the new manager. If he does, I think, yeah, like you said, he's a big confidence player. He scored so many goals 2 seasons ago, and I think another thing we haven't really been able to see fully yet is his some of his passing is just absolutely insane. Some
Very
of his
underrated.
switches very
Yeah.
underrated. I mean, I think that's another thing we could utilize. That it kind of has me questioning whether we should play him in the front three that Amorim likes to play, or whether we should play him as one of the wing backs because some of his switching is just absolutely insane. Not to mention, also Amorim does. I'm pretty sure, and we can talk about this a little bit more later. He switches it to a four when they go on the attack sometimes, where one of the fullback or one of the wing backs becomes kind of more of a fullback.
Yeah.
So I could see a system where we have, let's say, Delo at left back or Mazraoui at left wing back, and
Hmm.
they kind of come back. They don't go fully back, but they come back a little bit, and then Rashford still gets to push up the wing and maybe switch a ball or play a good ball. Because remember that switch he had in the FA Cup final that
Yeah.
spurred that goal to Kobe Mainu? That was
Hmm.
just crazy, peach of a ball. And
Yeah.
then he had some I think we talked about it last podcast where he had some crazy pass to Garnacho against
Hmm.
who was it? Brentford maybe? I don't even remember. But yeah, he has really good ability when it comes to passing. So we'll see what happens with him. I think it's going to come down to whether he meshes well with the new manager or not, and whether the new manager can get him confident and get him scoring again. So that's a big if. Ideally, I'd like to keep him as well. I think that's also a no-brainer, but
Hmm.
it's TBD, I guess, on whether him and the manager get along. This next one, he's it's a tough one. Joshua Zirkzee.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
tough
it's
because
tough
he's
because
a
it's his
he's a
first
new
season.
signing, like a couple months in. I think it'd be harsh to, in my opinion, it'd be harsh
No,
to
you
let
got to be
to
ruthless.
let him go. But it, I don't know. He has like shown, I think, the flashes of what he can do. I think the one thing he's just lacking is that um goal scoring in that kind of final moment, and kind of that like oomph and that energy has kind of been lacking. And it's a little alarming because, when you first sign for a team like Manchester United, you should be like, running out on all fronts, and you should be like trying to show your worth like right away. And if you're kind of lacking that energy and that momentum in the beginning, then it's kind of difficult to regain the trust of the fans if you kind of didn't do that right off the bat. Um, but listen, if we plan on signing another striker this summer, I mean, I'd be happy replacing Xerxes, but I just think it's sometimes too soon to tell with these things because, you're moving to a new league. It is difficult to kind of adapt and get adjusted right away. So, I mean, I'm fine, giving him some. I mean, I obviously he's going to have the rest of this season to show why he should stay. Um, but again, it's a new signing. It'd be kind of difficult unless the manager says, "I do not want this guy. We have to get rid of him." I wouldn't see the board trying to push him to leave, especially after they just signed him.
Yeah, I think the board is going to be pretty hard on trying to get Amarim to use him because they are an Ineos signing.
Hmm.
And whether Ten Hag really wanted him or not, because there are some reports saying that he didn't want him. I don't.
I think that's
I,
fake.
I don't know if I don't know if I really trust that because you would hope that this new board is smart enough to realize, hey,
Hmm.
if the manager really isn't going to use this guy or he really doesn't want this guy, why are we going after him? But
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, there could be some problems going on behind the scenes. But yeah, we have seen some flashes. I remember last match. I think it was the Leicester match. He came on, and he had some good flashes, and he can link again. He links up play pretty well,
Yeah. That's
but
like his strong suit. And it's
I
good to
haven't
have that as
seen
a
it.
striker, but
I haven't seen it consistently enough, and I don't know whether that might actually work in a front three where you could have him as kind of the advanced playmaker where he's kind of staying a little bit higher and Bruno comes back as like a kind of a box to box attacking
hmm
mid, if you will. I don't even know if that's actually really a role, but you know, I think it could work out. We'll see. I think he's probably going to be kept just because, yeah, he is an Ineos
hmm
signing and they're probably going to push sport or sorry, Amarim's coaching staff to really get the best out of him.
Yeah.
And we haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet, so I'm going to say keep. Although I don't know, it is kind of concerning a little bit because he does
Yeah.
look a little bit just way too slow. I mean, he to me looks like if Harry Maguire were a striker. I don't know if that's harsh to say, but Harry Maguire is good at center back because he's just a big body. And he's doesn't need to be fast, but
Hmm.
we as a striker, as a guy who scores goals or provides assists, he hasn't really hit the mark yet. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say keep. I think you also said keep, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, all right. These next two should kind of just be easy keeps.
Yeah.
Amad Diallo. What are your
What
thoughts?
else? What do you have to say about him? Like, why? It's like almost like up to Kobe's level. Like, why would you get rid of Ahmad?
Yeah. He's
Given what
such a
he's
good player.
shown, he's insane,
He's so
and he's
talented.
definitely I'd say our best attacker right now. I think probably for the season as well. I'm probably with Garnacho, but I mean
I think.
his versatility is so great to have because he can, play across that front three. He can drop back, he can play in the midfield, he can, really go all around. And his technical ability, his athleticism is nuts.
Oh, I completely
Incredible
agreed.
player.
I think if you look at to a Pep Guardiola side, every single player is technically above average. And Amad Diallo is way above average. He is so good
Hmm.
on the ball, and he's so good at keeping the ball. He's so good at progressing the ball. He's just really good at dribbling. There's so many things to like about him that you really question why was Eric Ten Hag not using him as much as he
Yeah.
should have been. And that is one of the downfalls of Eric Ten Hag, that he did have favorites, and he did sign Anthony for so much money, and he did have this sort of, oh, I need to play him because I signed him, or oh, I need to play this guy over Ahmad. I don't know why he didn't like Ahmad that much. And the thing I really like about Ahmad too is not only is he a fantastic footballer and he has so much potential, but he's also seems like a great guy. He seems like he really loves the club,
Yeah.
because he had. I mean, we've had players who, if they had the same treatment that Ahmad had, they would probably be moaning and trying to get out of the club. Certain guys who literally have gotten out of the club because of that. And Ahmad has never really complained. He's always put his head down, and he just seems like a humble guy.
He's
So
always happy when he's always got a smile on his face when he's got he's just like a great guy too.
yeah. And if you look at the roster, I mean, he's one of the. He looks like the happiest guy there. He's
Yeah.
smiling. He's having a
Yeah.
good time. I mean,
Yeah.
I love Ahmad. I personally
Love him.
think
I love
it'd
him.
be stupid for us to sell him. So I'm gonna say keep. You said keep.
Yeah.
Next guy, Alejandro Garnacho.
I think
Again,
that's another pretty easy keep.
pretty
Um,
easy keep. Some people
I think,
some people came at him after his performance in the what match
yeah.
was it? Was it
Um,
the Chelsea match?
Chelsea, yeah, Chelsea. Yeah.
Which I okay, yeah, he didn't have a great match, but
I
people
mean,
were
that's
way
fine.
too
People
harsh.
are always not gonna, no one's gonna have a perfect game every single match. And I mean, for what this kid has done for us and he's been that that star boy face for us, especially in the last season and coming into this season. I think he's probably played the most out of all of our attackers this season. I think. I don't know if that's true, but it seems like he has. Um,
He's
and
had
he's
the most
really,
goal contributions of all of them.
yeah, most goal contributions. It's someone who's definitely grown with the squad. He links well with the attackers. He gets back and defends well. Um all around, gifted player in my opinion, and someone who can definitely grow and be even better than he is now. And um Amram definitely has a good group of young players in this squad, not only Garnacho, to kind of mold them and to make them, you know, better and really play to the success of the team.
Yeah, I think it would be stupid to sell a player who's 20 years old, has
Yeah.
world class potential. I mean, he also, another thing too. We were just talking about Ahmad's character. I think Garnacho also has good character, because you saw he was getting slated in the press and whatever, and this, that, and the other. And I even saw a video on Twitter, wherever I saw it, of a fan literally heckling him when he was, I think he was walking into the stadium for a match. I forgot which match it was, but some
Hmm.
fan was heckling him. Garnacho, pass the ball more. Garnacho, score more. Do this, do that more. Whatever. And he handled it in such a classy way, in my opinion. He didn't even listen to
Yeah.
him at first, and then he was signing stuff. And as he's walking away, he's like, "Why aren't you on the pitch then?" He didn't verbally assault him. He didn't do anything crazy. He was smart about it. That's probably something I would, if I was smart, I would say. I probably wouldn't be able to keep my cool if I was him. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was really smart about that. And then I also saw last match, the Leicester match, where he got subbed on. When he was about to get subbed on, there was a young fan that was really
Yeah. Yeah.
close
I
to the
saw this.
subs bench, who was
Uh-huh.
singing his name, singing his praises. Garnacho, this, let's
Yeah.
go, Viva Garnacho. And then Garnacho saw him. He waved at him before he
Hmm.
went on, which is a pretty cool moment already. And then after the match, he found the young
Yeah.
fan and gave him his kit. Like, come
And
on,
he scored too. He scored in that match.
that's
So
pretty awesome. So I mean, yeah, I'd like to think it's pretty easy to keep. Moving on to
yeah.
the last player, I think we're going to be
Yikes.
pretty easy decision for both of us.
Can we just end it
But
now? Do we
the
even have
final
to?
player, the certain Brazilian winger.
Oh man.
Wait. I need to play like a Brazilian song and start dancing or something because he always gets me. Whenever I see his face, I always just want to like dance and do like some Brazilian like play some Brazilian funk music and just go crazy. I don't even know how the songs go, but Anthony,
God.
is there any debate here?
No, there should be no debate.
Easy sell, easy sell.
Easy,
Probably
easy
easy.
sell.
He's probably the easiest decision of the
That
entire.
was the easiest decision. Easier
Okay,
than, than keeping Kobe Mainoo.
let's play devil's advocate. Is there any argument for keeping Anthony?
Um, I think, okay, in all seriousness, if you had to give a reason for keeping Anthony, I think just maybe because of what he did at Ajax, like he was a good player there. Like he was an actual good player there. He performed well in that team. Um, maybe that, like maybe you can say, oh, he can reach those levels again if he's given the right coaching and the right treatment. But then again, he's in a different league. He's about to be playing under a manager who uses a different system than he did. So everything's kind of out of order for him, and he already wasn't performing. So I think it'd be hard to kind of reach that same level if things are changing too quickly and you don't have the confidence. You have basically zero of the fan backing. That's another important thing because that's confidence as well. And it's tough. You're not going to regain that fan trust very, very easily. So I think it's best for all parties if he moves on. We cut our losses because we're not getting 90 million euros for him again. So we get rid of him. We save some wages and we move on. We say this was a failed experiment and that's it.
Chris, I think you're forgetting one big thing though. That's his aura. You forgot his aura. Aura
The
FC over
aura.
here. We're gonna lose so much aura. Manchester United will be an
What aura
auraless
are
team.
we losing?
If if Manchester United decide to sell Anthony this summer, they will have no more aura left, and we're gonna get relegated. That's just simple as. That's the best argument
Dude.
for Anthony to stay. He brings the aura. What player
Yeah.
what player comes onto the pitch and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? Anthony does that.
Dude.
You see the subs board coming up. 21 in green. Anthony's coming on. No way. You know what I mean? Like the aura is it's just flowing through the room. No, but in all
Man.
seriousness, I don't think there's any universe where Anthony actually does anything
No.
good for us the rest of the season. We'll see. He's also isn't he injured right now?
Is he? I just thought he hasn't been playing. I
Uh,
thought even I just thought
Poor Anthony,
Rude.
man.
I thought Rude was like, yeah, you're not playing at all under me.
Yeah,
I'm not giving
you're
you a
mid, bro.
chance.
You're mid. You're mid. All
He
right.
he
Well,
literally called him in.
okay. That's enough of the roster rundown. That was a long rundown of the roster.
Yeah.
Let's move on. We talked about it a little bit as we were going through the
Uh-huh.
roster. Best starting 11 with what we assume
Yeah.
Amorim will go with because
Go
it
play.
was reported by Fabrizio Romano that he will go with the
Yeah.
three center backs.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see. We don't know anything else apart from that, but a 3-4-3 will ideally be the formation they would probably run. So,
Uh-huh.
Chris, let's start with your starting 11 for Amorim.
Yeah, I mean, so the keeper, it's pretty obvious in my opinion. Onana is gonna be playing keeper, and then um. Oh wait, so are we doing if everyone's fit or our current available players, or
I think
how's it gonna work?
I feel like even after the international break, I'm pretty sure Euro's already going to be back. And
Okay.
then Luke Shaw, I've heard, will be back, but I don't know if he'll even factor in. Yeah, let's just say like with our current fitness, because Euro will be back. Who else will be back? Mason Mount will be back, I think.
Mount,
But those
Mainu?
those guys,
I don't know.
Manu, yeah, he'll be back. I'm pretty sure. Wait, let me see.
Okay.
Let me check. Kobe Manu injury. Yeah, he'll be back. Yeah, Lenny Euro, Kobe Manu, Tyrone Glass will be back. Sweet. All right. So yeah, with all that in mind, starting 11. Go for it.
Okay. Um, all right. Gonna go Onana, keeper, and then back three from left to right. I would go Martinez, Delit, and Euro. Those would be my back three going into the season, and then four in the midfield.
It's a tough one.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, I'm not too like well versed with back threes. I don't really know how to use the players in those positions. Amram obviously knows way more than I do, but I would go. I could see him doing something like Garnacho, Ugarte, Mainu, and Delo in that midfield four, and then Hojlund and Bruno up top.
There's another up top too. It's a 3-4-3.
Oh, three.
Cause he'll do
Okay,
he'll
then
do
scratch
one.
that. Scratch that. I was completely
Okay.
thinking it was just two at the top. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go Mazraoui, um, Ugarte Menu, Delo, and then Bruno, Garnacho, and Hoyland.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I like that. I would probably go with the same keeper, obviously, same back line,
Hmm.
and then midfield, same two midfielders in there in the center positions, Manu
Hmm.
and Ugarte. I think that would just make
Yeah.
sense because they're gonna have the ability to press and the ability to man
Uh-huh.
mark different players, whatever. And then I'll change up with my. Do we even call them wingbacks? We'll just call
I
them.
don't know. It's like they're not traditional wingbacks, but they like
Yeah,
turn into wingbacks kind of. It's
yeah.
interesting.
Because yeah, like I said earlier, he's played some wingers there, but he's also played some fullbacks
Yeah.
there. So I'm gonna say Delo. I think he'll like Delo because Delo's Portuguese and Delo
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
consistent and he
Definitely.
has a lot of he has a lot of energy. He's a lot of
Uh-huh.
legs. He's fast. So I'll play him a right back, a right wing back, and then left wing back. I'm actually gonna go with Garnacho here because I think
Yeah.
Garnacho's A, he's fast. B, he gets back pretty well, but even with Delo's in there, I don't know if he'll have to get back too much. And not to mention, I think he plays a three center back position because, and with our three center backs, they'll be strong enough to defend pretty well
Hmm.
with just Ugarte helping as cover. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if he'll need to get back too much. But yeah, Garnacho at left wing back because I think he can cut in better and all
Hmm.
those sorts of things. And then I would put Bruno as the right attacking midfielder.
Hmm.
So I guess he'd be like a right striker, and
Yeah.
then there'd be a center striker and a left striker. So I'd put him at right striker, and then I'd put Hoyland up top at the main center striker, and then I would put in the same Gyökeres role,
Yeah.
and then I'd put Rashford actually at the
Okay.
left striker, just because I feel like I'll have one of the strikers
Hmm.
on the left or right side kind of staying up, making those darting runs, so that the wingers can find them type thing, or also like
Yeah.
supporting Hoyland. But Bruno could literally play anywhere, first of all, and then second of all, he can come back as well a little bit and kind of play the playmaking role a little bit better. So I
Hmm.
think yeah, our we went a little bit different where you put Mazarawi in and I put Garnacho in
Yeah.
at
I
that
mean, that's
position.
that's like kind of interchangeable for me too. Like I put Garnacho there originally because I miscounted it and I thought there wasn't an extra player, but
Yeah.
um,
I I
Garnacho
just don't know if
can definitely play that left midfield position. And then if if it was Garnacho instead of Mazraoui, then I would probably put like Bruno, Ahmad, and Hoyland maybe in a front three, or Bruno, Rashford, and Hoyland, um, Bruno, Ahmad, and Rashford. There's a lot of combinations you can do, which is a good problem to have for Amorim to say how to utilize these attackers, like what different combinations work well. It's something that he's going to have to kind of work with, and it's something that's going to be a struggle for the opposing teams because you never really know who you're going to be up against. They're all different profiles, but if they can all link and play well together, then um, it'll give other teams, headaches to manage because you have all these different combinations of attackers. Um, those front three, if it's different every match, then it's going to be, tough to defend that. And it's only going to make us better because it allows for different, patterns of plays and different combinations of players to be playing together.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, I think that Rashford, the reason I put him at left striker is because, A, if he's at left striker, he can cut in,
Hmm.
shoot. But also, I think when he was scoring all those goals he was scoring 2 seasons ago, he did play
Yeah.
more strike up top role.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly if it would be the same type of role as that. It'd be more similar than a winger, obviously. So we'll see where he puts. I'd like to see him there personally, but again, like you said, you could put Ahmad there. Ahmad can go just about anywhere in the attack,
Yeah.
except for maybe in the main striker role. And then, yeah, I mean Garnacho. The only thing is, I feel like Garnacho is just like a pure winger. Like I feel like he's one of our
Yeah.
most pure wingers. So I'd like him at left wing personally. But yeah, I think just keep him there. But regardless, yeah, it's a good problem for Emram to have that he can switch up that front
Hmm.
line. We'll see if he actually ends up doing that or if he does get favorites like Ten Hag did. But I hope he doesn't. We'll see what happens though. All right, so that's our starting lineup. We had similar starting lineups.
Yeah.
Nothing too
Pretty
crazy.
similar.
Let's move on to Ruud Van Nistelrooy. He did a good job as an interim manager. I mean, we didn't have a single loss under him. 100% record. Scored a lot more goals
Yeah.
than we were scoring before. Played a lot better. I mean, played pretty darn well against Leicester. 3-0 victory. Can't complain
Yeah.
there. Don't remember too many bad performances in that match. So I was pretty pleased by Ruud's interim little stint there.
Hmm.
What do you make of him being not brought on or not a part of the coaching staff under Amorim?
I think it's, a bit unfortunate. I think Ruud wanted to stay on as part of the coaching staff. Um, he did want to kind of make an impression on the squad and the team and the fans and kind of improve his own coaching career. Um, I think ultimately, Amarim like gets his first say of he's bringing his part of his coaching staff from Sporting, so he's gonna get to really pick whoever he wants. He doesn't know Rude, he doesn't really know how he works, so I think it'd be unfair from the club to tell Amarim that you're stuck with Rude. Not that Rude is a bad not that he's someone bad to have in your staff, but it should be up to the manager who's gonna be surrounding you on the training pitch. So I think it's probably best for Rude if he did go and maybe, you know, be the first because he is the first a manager level quality uh, person, so he can go be a manager at another club and do well. Um, so I think it's for the best, and I think in the four matches he had, he stabled the ship. He was unbeaten. He got the team energized again. We got the fans were he just kind of lightened the spirits up after the pretty tough weeks we had leading up to that. So I think he did a great job as interim. It's best the job you can do. It's not really much you can do with only four matches, but he did great, and he's gonna go down as an undefeated Man United manager. So I think that's best, and then I wish him all the best for wherever he finds himself in the next step of his career.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's a club legend through
Yeah.
any sort of whatever. But yeah, I think it was smart to let him go, in my opinion, only because Amarin does get the final say at the end of the day. He is the manager. He needs to come in. He needs to be that ruthless guy like we talked about. But then not to mention too, I mean, I can see the arguments on both sides. Some people were saying, oh, the players like him. It'll be good for United, the players, a lot, the dressing room, whatever. Which, yeah, it could be. But at the same time, the fans do really love Rude. And if they have a guy back there
Hmm.
who the fans already love more, that might cause a little, hey, maybe Amarim's not doing well this season or next season. Throw Rude back in there, type thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do think also Rude does want the Manchester United job at some point, full time basis. So having some guy in your staff who publicly wants your job is not always the best
Yeah.
thing to have.
It's true.
Although I don't think Rude was being a, oh yeah, I'm trying to get Ten Hag out. I'm gonna cause problems because of that. But I mean, there was, I don't know if you know, but at PSV when he was the manager there, he resigned, I believe, at the end of the season and it was because of a fallout between him and the leaders. I think the leaders of the club or whatever, the board and
Yeah,
stuff. And also there was some rumors that some of the players didn't like him, and there's a little bit of a fallout there. So I don't know
interesting.
entirely what would have happened if he stayed at United, but I mean everyone here loves him. And I think he'll
Yeah,
still be, a club legend, and maybe in the future he could be the manager one day. We'll wait and see, I guess. But obviously, Amorim comes in. He's bringing in his fullback staff, fullback room. Why would he, want someone
yeah,
he doesn't know?
exactly.
I personally think it's a great thing too that he brought his entire team with him that he's had for so long. I think we said the last podcast too that if he's bringing in all these guys that he knows so well, it's only going to set him up for success more
Hmm.
than if he's got all these new guys coming in all the time. Like Ten Hag, I mean, Ten Hag came in with a few guys, but he changed up his staff like almost entirely
Yeah,
last season. Which I mean, I guess you need to improve whatever, but it's not like any of the staff member or the coaches left and went to an upgrade when they left last year. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it was too bad of a decision. I don't think anyone should be going crazy about it. But last thing before we finish off the podcast today, because we've talked for a while, David Coote and PGMOL.
yeah.
Some interesting news coming out of there.
Oh
Chris,
man,
want to talk about that?
yeah. So a video surfaced. I think it was today, right, or yesterday, but
Yeah,
recently,
today.
uh, David Coot, his friend, was recording him, and he was basically asking him what he thought about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, and
He said some nasty
David was
things.
kind of just openly shitting on Liverpool, and said Klopp was a very bad, nasty word that I probably shouldn't say it out loud, but
And he said that Klopp
like,
has an ego, so he wouldn't want to talk to him, things like that.
yeah, yeah,
And
basically
David Koo is a Premier League
downplaying,
manager.
yeah, or
He's
he's
a
a Premier
Premier
League
League
referee,
referee,
so
by the way.
he's kind of not in a position where you can openly say these things about a club that you officiate and you kind of determine whether they get points, and like you kind of you ref their games, you're officiating the matches, so this is a, obviously a huge conflict of interest if this is how he truly feels about Liverpool. So this is crazy, and PGMOL have suspended him indefinitely, and I think they haven't even commented on it. They've just suspended him, and they said they're going to do an internal investigation, and then um, I'm sure he's probably never going to referee a match ever again. His career's probably ruined, but it's a crazy, crazy story and crazy video, and just crazy that you see a ref talking about a Premier League team openly like this in that way.
Oh yeah, entirely. I mean, we've seen certain things before. I think Oliver, what's his name? Oliver Taylor, right? That's one of the men. Oliver Taylor,
Anthony Taylor?
or no,
Michael
Anthony Taylor.
Oliver.
No, Michael Oliver. God, sorry. There's so many like basic names. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, Michael. I remember Michael Oliver wore a Newcastle kit in a picture one time. I don't know if it really
Yeah.
meant anything, but yeah. I mean, in my opinion, it's really embarrassing that the Premier League is hiring these referees who have things like
Hmm.
this come out. I mean,
Yeah.
that is insanely unprofessional for David Coote to be in a video with his friend talking about Liverpool in the way he was talking about. If I were a Liverpool fan, I would be
I'd be
livid. I would be
pissed.
absolutely livid because I mean, I don't know exactly, how he directly affected their games or not, and I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I don't know whether they like his refereeing or not. But the things he said, where he was a fourth official and he wouldn't even speak to Jurgen Klopp because he thought Jurgen Klopp had an ego, and
Yeah.
regardless of whether Jurgen Klopp does have an ego or not, you're a Premier League referee. That is
Yeah.
your job, dude. Like that
You have
is
to be
absolutely
completely
embarrassing.
invalid from personal affiliations with any club. You have to, like, it's your job. You have to be professional and mature about everything. So you can't have, as a ref, you're not allowed to have personal opinions and biases towards teams. And to be so open about that, knowing that your friend's taking a video of you in today's day and age, and to say in
Crazy.
another, and there's a second video, or probably part of the same video, where he's like, don't let
This
that
can't
get
get
out,
out.
or so this can't get out, like, that's crazy. he
Absolutely insane.
he is very dumb for that, and his career is probably over, but Yeah,
It's I mean
wild, wild
it's
story.
his own doing, and you would
His
think
own
that
downfall.
one of the biggest
Hmm.
leagues in all of sports
Yeah,
would be able to hire referees that the first question they should ask a referee when you're hiring, hey, have you ever supported a team or have you ever disliked a team really badly? And yes, I mean they can lie about things like that, but if you can see like things like that happening, oh, he's immediately got to go. I mean, they
yeah,
suspended him rightfully so, but this is not a good look for PGMOL. And they,
not at
I
all.
mean,
No.
ever since VAR has become a thing in the Premier League, fans. I mean, I know fans aren't always correct about calls, but there has been a lot more. I feel like there's been a lot more complaining about refereeing ever since that's happened. And then for this to come out, it is a really bad look for
Yeah,
PGMOL. They have to get their act together big time
yeah,
because this is embarrassing. But we'll see. I mean, Chris, I don't even know how because you and I are both obviously big sports fans. We huge Manchester United fans. We watch a lot of sports, whatever. Me personally, I could just never be a ref because I
oh, no shot.
yeah, you simply cannot. You can't put me on a field with Manchester United's on the field because I mean,
Hmm.
you know, although I could try to be professional about it, and I've worked in sports previously and I've been professional, but still, like those
It's
biases are
tough.
deep inside your head,
It's
and
tough.
if they didn't know that David Coote was also, I mean, he looked pretty inebriated in these videos, so I mean, it obviously doesn't give
Yeah,
you an excuse to say what he said, but you simply cannot say those things, especially if you're a permanent referee. But
yeah,
absolutely crazy. Well, that's all the time we got for you guys today. It was a pretty long conversation about a lot of things, but a lot of great new things happening at Manchester United.
yeah.
Hey, and Chris, I'll leave you on this final note. There is a disaster going on at a club in Manchester currently, and it ain't our club. So good little note there
Four
for
straight
us.
L's.
4 L's. Hey, you know what? Another thing, Pep Guardiola. Congratulations on your fourth L in a row. Sir Alex Ferguson,
To
in
make it
all his
five.
26 years at Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson never had a 4-game losing streak. So shout out to Pep Guardiola for beating Alex Ferguson there, Sir Alex Ferguson,
Yep.
with a 4-game losing streak. We're very proud of you, Pep. Continue to do so, my friend. We'd love to see it. All right, well, that's all for us. You guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Peace.